Good morning. Usually I don't like labels. Today I'm going to label myself something. A professional self-sabotager. I'm sure we've all done this to some degree. I am talking in the sphere of never labeling myself to be a professional photographer in my 6 years of being a professional photographer. Even though I have had millions of views on my photography series, even though I'm getting paid for photography for 6 years, since the very beginning when I decided to pick up a camera, very lucky. Even though the majority of my income I make now is from my Advanced Selfie University, where we've taken like 6,000 people through the concept of learning how to take a perfect, beautiful photo of themselves from the comfort of their own home, helping people look good online, helping with self-esteem. Even though next year, May 2021, I have a book coming out about my advanced selfie concept. It's so beautiful and kick-ass. I have never really said to people that I'm a photographer. And if I have, I didn't really mean it. I was like, I'm a photographer. Maybe because there are some labels or box that I think I should fit into. Like, I don't sell prints, therefore I'm not a photographer. I mainly take photos of myself, so therefore I'm not a photographer, because is that photography if you're just taking photos of yourself? I am not as good as my friends. I don't have the technical knowledge as much as my friends. Sometimes being your worst enemy is a good thing because it pushes you forward, but you also have to have moments when you reflect and you say, holy crap, I've actually progressed and I'm actually not doing as bad as I think. And I had this moment this morning. I am a camera person, I am a photographer and a videographer. I might not be the best with technical knowledge. However, this is just such a beautiful thing to know, that there is no specific path to success in any one field. And so when I was thinking this morning, I was like, I don't think I've ever spoken about my photography journey and how I went from shit fuck all to being a rich bitch. Exaggerating, but no, I'm not actually. And I think that's a testament to not needing to follow the specific route for anything. No matter what field you're interested in, is there a unique path that you can take that is going to propel you forward and ultimately allow you to live from your passion? Because that's what it really is. Yeah, I don't sell prints. Do I want to sell prints? Not really. So why do I feel like I have to do that? Without further ado, let's get into my photography journey from zero to rich bitch. Step one, the realization. One of the very first time I operated a camera was when I was in Seychelles with my dad when I was like 18. I went down to the water and I put the camera down really low on the water's edge and I filmed the waves rolling in. And it wasn't a big deal, but then I went back to my dad and my stepmom and I showed them and they were just so blown away by what they saw and they were like, wow, you have an eye for this. That ingrained in my memory as being like, I have skill in this area? Oh, wow. Suppressing that whole concept for about 5 to 7 years. I went and had a normal job. I worked in an office. I worked bartending. I worked as a waitress. I worked in lots of shitty jobs. If you want to know more, this is the video for you. Step two, action. Every few years I go and do Vipassana, which is a 10-day silent meditation retreat. Vipassana has a way of really going deep inside and helping you figure out what it is that you want to be doing, who it is that you want to be. It's really fascinating. It's such a hard process to sit there for 10 days meditating like 12 to 14 hour days. It's really intense, but you always come out with a breakthrough. And the one huge thing that I came out with, the one thing that just stuck so much was call your friend Sasha and ask to be her intern in photography. Now this came out of the blue. I was telling myself that I'm not a creative person at all. I was a business person. I couldn't do anything creative. What the fuck was I thinking considering something like this? Needless to say, it kept being there. That nagging voice was there. And I called Sasha from Sherbet Birdie Photography. She was just at the right stage in her career, in her business, that she said yes. And so I started working for free, cleaning floors, arranging the studio, helping with the backdrops, like all these tiny things, because I had no understanding of photography. I had no understanding of a camera. I didn't have a camera at the time, but universe does some weird funky things and I just followed the signs. After a few months, I bit the bullet and I paid for my first camera, which was 1,500 Australian dollars, secondhand. This was so much of my savings. This was such a big investment for me. And this is where it kind of began. It was a transition from trialing this dream and seeing like if I could make it work to I have my own camera. I guess this means that it's a bit more serious. I kept working with Sasha for 9 months. This was still to this day one of the best times of my life. I learned so much from from Sasha. What we concentrated on was quality. And this is something that I learned from Sasha. I didn't understand what quality meant. It was not important to me. She taught me slow quality, whereas I was like manic. I was like, ah! One of the greatest moments of my entire life. Meanwhile, I met with my friend and I told him I just started photography, and he put me in touch with one of the best photography studios in Sydney, advertising agencies. So they did really high budget campaigns. The photographer that I was working with, she was really painful to work with, actually. She treated me like trash. It was really painful to work with someone like that, that didn't at all give a shit about you. And they just abused you and used you, except for a couple of photographers there, which I'm very grateful for. But the boss and the photographer, the main photographer that I was working under, was a complete I had no credibility behind me, so I don't really expect them to treat me any different way. I don't expect them to treat me with respect because I didn't earn it yet. But I am still annoyed that someone could treat someone so badly, so very poorly, because working with Sasha, she knew I had no experience, but she treated me so incredibly well. And I mean, she's my best friend, so still to this day, which is awesome. To give you an idea of how bad I was, but how much I wanted this, and I think sometimes wanting something more is more important than the actual talent itself. It's the drive behind it. I had people telling me on the jobs, they were like, hey, Sorel, can you go get that item? And I was like, I don't know what that item is. Hey, Sorel, we need you to film this 8-day, 14-hour-a-day event and then edit it. I was like, I have no idea how to do that. But you know what? It wasn't hurting anyone if I said, yes, I'll go do that. And then I researched it. I stayed up for nights and nights and nights on end trying to figure out how everything worked so I could make this happen. Because I knew if I said no, that's shutting a giant door. It wasn't huge projects that would have taken years to catch up on. I knew I could have learned it on the fly. So my recommendation is, wherever possible, if you feel like this is something you can do for yourself, say yes and figure it out later. And together with amazing online platforms such as Skillshare, that you can learn so much amazing, valuable information about really anything you want. This is a perfect platform for you to learn. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. You have short classes, the support of fellow creatives. It's super easy and compact and very easy to digest, so you can get on with taking on jobs that you might feel you're not quite ready for. So I personally have a YouTube mastery course on Skillshare, so you can check that out. It is awesome. Otherwise, I highly recommend, and I've recommended him so many times because it is just so sensational, Justin Bridges, his course on photography and understanding cameras, for example. It's second to none. I took this course when I was starting my journey, and he broke down the use of cameras so well, it just made complete sense. So if you're confused about like ISO, aperture, shutter speed, Justin has got you covered. Skillshare is incredibly affordable. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. The first 1,000 subscribers to click the link in the bio will get 2 months worth of premium membership for free on Skillshare. So get crack-a-lackin' and get access to all the information you need. Then there is the detachment. The detachment from my photography journey involved me moving away from Australia and leaving everything that I had built up there to come and live in Europe. And so I went one-way ticket to Europe, and here I was on my own, armed with just 9 months of work in photography assistants, photography studios, owning the camera for about 6 or 5 months in total. This is all I had. I really didn't know anything yet. And so I left the comfort of everyone telling me what to do, and I was on my own, shitballs. And everything else from here was me just seeing what stuck. Bikini in the snow concept. I started taking photos of a couple of my friends as well that I met here in Iceland, and can I say the photos were so damn good. I'm still so proud of these photos. The next step was copycat stage. So copycat, because I didn't know what I was doing with the camera. And I landed in Iceland where everybody that was here was taking landscape photography, and I was only really taught anything in a studio environment, so I understood nothing about landscape photography. And then I fell in love with the work of Benjamin Hardman, one of my friends now, and he's exceptional at what he does, and I just studied his work like a crazy person. I want to know how to have my photos look like that, which never happened. But I tried really hard to copy it, and I think I learned a lot from copying other people at the time and figuring out what they did and how they saw the world, because I really didn't understand landscape photography. I honestly still kind of don't. I kind of like it, but it still is missing something for me at all times, and that is the human element. And eventually I started realizing that I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing, that they were taking photos with cars and just nature, and I was like, huh? So I started merging my world, people, as well as the landscape. Also didn't like the concept that everybody else was doing, standing with raincoats in front of a waterfall in Iceland. If everybody's doing it, why would I do that as well? I tried, I did it. I went there but it still just felt, why am I doing this if everybody else has done it? Where's the originality? So the next stage is originality. So I do think my originality came from merging two worlds that were not meant to be together. And I love that. I think contradicting any styles together always results in something weird. And so I had the studio pin-up work mixed with landscape photography. This was my two areas that I was sort of knowledgeable about. So I just merged them together. And slowly but surely, I started doing amazing photos outdoors with me because I was someone available at all times, no matter where I was traveling. So I took photos of myself in front of the camera, and I was really far away initially because I was really nervous of how to be in front of the camera. And then slowly I started bringing myself closer and closer and closer and closer. And further, this whole journey was propelled with me winning the best job on the planet, which was me traveling the world for 3 months. I was staying in these really luxurious homes all around the world. And I have to say, I never considered myself to be luxury. We came from quite a poor background, I would say. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand even quality before Sasha got to me. Let me tell you how strong the imposter syndrome was. The whole time I was there, I was like, they kind of made a mistake by choosing me. Because I was just such a simple girl, but I didn't really show it. What I did was I put on my brave face and I put on luxurious clothing. Not really, I used my clothing that was really shit and I tried to make it look luxurious and take photos of myself in these beautiful spaces. Around this time, people were like, "Ooh, wow, these photos are so cool. Who's taking the photos?" And I was like, I am. Jokingly, I thought it would be funny if I called them the advanced selfie. And then this concept grew. And that's the next stage of my journey, creating the movement. So the advanced selfie movement is awesome and it gave me a huge differentiator that just stuck. One, I freaking loved it because I knew what it did for me. It helped me feel damn badass in front of the camera. It helped me capture life in the most beautiful, miraculous ways. It helped to capture my travels and it helped to boost my self-esteem, which I translated onto other people. And I gave them the capacity to learn about my advanced selfies as well, just through a few videos. And then someone asked me, what do I do with my hands in photos? And I was like, I am not making a video on my YouTube about how to pose your hands. And so I figured that I'd create a course around it. And so the Advanced Selfie University was born. 6,000 students. Someone notified me that Mikey, she seems cool. I've never met her, from Glam and Gore. She just did this snippet on her YouTube video, which has at the moment 1 million views.
If you want more tips about how to do self-portraits, Sorella Moore actually has an amazing course. I think it's called Advanced Selfie University or Selfie University. And she walks through the way she does self-portraits. Her self-portraits are amazing. They're so beautiful. I've been taking self-portraits for years because I've been documenting my makeup throughout my YouTube journey, but Sorella's who inspired me to get back into it in terms of making it more of like a creative endeavor and not just about documenting the makeup. So huge shout out to her, and I highly recommend her course for really nitty-gritty details. Everyone's style is different. You might want to do super bright colors, very light, bright lighting. Like Sorel, I really like dark movie stuff. And I think it's so fun and I think it's so empowering and I think that it's such a very creative outlet and I love doing this. If I could do this all the time, I would.
So yeah, girl, I think that's it. Since then, it's just about repetition. How do I summarize this? I'm not a typical photographer. Hopefully, it has inspired you to see that you don't really have to be that good at all at the beginning to make it work. It's really just perseverance and being okay to be shit and being okay to be embarrassed and being okay to not have the answers and being okay to research really late at night on how to edit something using online sources such as Skillshare. What it is commitment. What it is taking that first step. For a lot of people, that first step is the most petrifying, and I can completely relate because I have always put on the back burner my music career that I wanted to start because I'm petrified of what will happen. How will I make it work? And it's like, that's not important. What's important is the first step. When you say yes to something, there is some sort of weird magic that happens and it opens up doors that they were not there previously. It really is about saying that concrete and certain yes, I want this, and going for it. That's all it really is. Everything else will work itself out. You just have to make that internal switch that's like, yes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Here's my Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to see more. And until next time, ladies, gents, boys and girls, and everybody in between.